All right, hello and welcome to episode 24 of the Too Hard to Pass podcast. I am your co-host, Juan Martinez. And to my left or to my right, he's got the mic in his hand. Well, not anymore. It's Jacques Slade, everybody.
Yo. What up, folks? Welcome to the Too Hard to Pass podcast, aka the Hard to Pass podcast, aka the Get Hard podcast.
Why?
AKA
we're already almost 25 episodes.
We're Too Hard podcast.
No.
AKA
No.
the Hard Before Hard to Pass podcast. Welcome, y'all. I'm glad you're here.
I thought we left this behind.
Left what behind?
You know what I'm talking about. We left the scrapped names of the podcast behind, and we went with this. The Too Hard to Pass podcast, and we're good.
I know, that's what I said. It's the Too Hard to Pass podcast, aka the Get Hard podcast.
No, we are not doing AKAs. There's one name for the show, and that
there's always AKAs. Like that's just negative energy, bro. That's just
what
I don't think you're living in the moment kind of thing. Like you got to live in the moment, feel the joy from the let's get hard. Like, you know what I mean? Like, let's get
absolutely
hard.
No. Yo, no, we are not.
I'm just trying to, what?
I'm not the person to just say pause at everything, but that's definitely one of those times.
Why? I don't get it. Let's get hard.
Yeah.
Podcast, bro.
Oh boy, oh my gosh. Anyways, welcome to the show, everybody.
Hey!
We just recorded a podcast like a couple days earlier. Now we're back again. And this is like probably the shortest gap we've had between podcasts. So we're like, all right, what are we going to talk about? But thankfully there is something to talk about. It's All-Star Weekend coming up, Jacques. So do you have the PJ all prepped to go, ready to go to the Bay Area, the Yay area?
I do not.
And
I do not.
You're going to be there with all of the luminaries and all of the peoples, and you're going to be like, oh, Jacques Slade's here. The party can finally begin.
I do not. I don't know why you would lie to the people that way and make them think that I have a private jet. Nothing could be further from the truth. But I'm glad that you, in the imaginary world that you think I live in, that there is a private jet involved. Unfortunately, in the reality that I live in, there is no private jet involved.
We're talking about giving the podcast a separate name. I'm talking about you having private jets. So we're kind of trying to manifest different things into reality. So, I'm just saying, I'm just putting this out there in the world. Jacques Slade needs a private plane. If anybody wants to sponsor Jacques Slade having a private plane, that would be fantastic. So let us know.
I would love that. I would love that.
So he can
right now that private plane is called a crossover vehicle. That's what that private plane is called. Oh, I have some sweater stuff on.
What are we doing?
Some lint from my sweater.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
This is a new sweater I just put on.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It says Golf Atlanta. Is that somebody's? Is that sent to you, or is that like something
Trap
you got
Golf.
over there? Oh, it's Trap Golf. Okay.
Yeah.
Shout out to Trap Golf.
Love their stuff.
Love their stuff. Well, anyways, yes. So All-Star Weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend is going down.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, me or you are not going to be there in the Bay Area. But there's still a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of stuff is going on there. But I guess the biggest sneaker that is going to release over the weekend is the same sneaker that was the biggest release. What is it now? 13 years ago. The Galaxy Foamposites are back.
Yep, these right here for those that are watching.
Perfect. Yeah. I was about to start. We're just gonna start talking about it and kind of waxing poetic about it or trying to give our thoughts. And then you're like, oh, look what I got. I just have these in hand right now, so check them out. So for people who are listening to this in the audio version, Jacques Slade just out of nowhere broke out with his own personal pair of the 2025 retro.
Only reason I have these is because I want to do an unboxing on them. I literally I've owned two pair of foams over the course of my life.
Okay.
and I've worn each one of those pairs one time each.
So
So these are not going to remain in the collection.
okay,
If so, just because I'm just not a foam guy. I appreciate them. Um, I really like
right.
the Comme des Garçons pair, but this is not my energy, not my vibe. I
Right.
respect it. I love what it represents, but not something that you're going to see me rocking or wearing. I doubt anybody in the real world has seen me wear a pair of foam posits, which is a weird
Right.
thing to say, but it's the truth, unfortunately.
So
Not
you're
my
not a foam
vibe.
guy. Yes, you're not a foam
No,
guy. Nor am I. I'm not particularly a foam guy either. But like you
I feel
said,
like
you
I've
do.
seen you in foams.
I have. I do. Like, do I even
Okay.
have? I think I have like a full pair of foams or two still here at the house. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I was
no,
gonna
I'm
say
not
I
like the
thought I've
biggest.
seen you in foams before.
Pretty sure. Pretty sure you have. But yeah, like I'm not the biggest foam guy either. But like you said, you do have a lot of appreciation and respect for the Galaxy foams and what they've represented and everything. And yeah, they're coming back for the first time since 2012 when it was at the height. I would say the height of like foam madness, mania, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, yeah,
People were
yeah.
lining up for it. Everybody still remembers that time when the Galaxy foams dropped. It was like in certain malls. I guess was it Florida? I think that's when it was. That was where All Star was that year. I think it was in like
Oh, yeah,
Orlando or
yeah, yeah. I think
something.
it was in Orlando or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And there's definitely like a fervor for it that honestly I did not really anticipate or expect. But it was just like a crescent. It was just like a convergence of a whole bunch of things, right? Like there's a lot of energy for the Galaxy Foamposites,
Yeah,
but also not just that, the LeBron 9 Big Bangs, the KD4 Galaxies, the Kobe
yeah,
7s, which we kind of threw a little shot at during the show. We're like,
yeah,
it wasn't necessarily like it was like it's a weird gap in between like the excellence of like the Kobe 4, 5, 6, and then the 8. They're like the 7, it's okay, but it
yeah.
wasn't. Yeah, but
The
anyways,
seven had the better marketing campaign.
Kobe system. Shout out to the Kobe system.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
but everything else about the shoe could have been better. Could have been better. Could have been
yeah.
better.
Nothing. Yeah, nothing. Nothing to write home about. Nothing to write
So
home about for sure.
there's just nothing wrong with that. Exactly. So Jacques, were you I remember when the Galaxy Foamposites first popped up in 2012. I remember I was at the Montalban Theater in LA. I think it was like All Star Saturday night.
Something
And
like
I
that.
guess
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And there was like an event there for, it was just like All Star. Like, that was back in the days when Nike would just invite a bunch of people out to, come check
yeah,
out the theater and, watch the dunk contest or, that kind of stuff.
God, what
Maybe
a
they had something
time.
going. Yes, yeah, they had, yeah. For people who do not know, for people who were not in the LA area during the time, Nike LA would do a lot of events, a lot of activations at the Montalban Theater.
Yeah,
And that's where a lot of amazing stuff happened. Great memories, great events. Just it was a simpler time, I guess. It's another thing way to look at it too. Is that hey, there's a thing popping up over here. Come on over. It was just like it was a very
yeah,
chill, it was a very chill era for like sneakers because really nobody knew it feels like it was an era of like trying stuff. Like hey, let's just have this event. Let's just do this. Let's do
yeah,
whatever. There was still a lot of like people trying to figure out like what exactly how to market sneakers and how to like present them in the way that they are now. Like it's still a lot of figuring stuff out, and a lot of it was just
yeah,
like, oh, let's just go hang out at the Montalban. That's really what a lot of it ended up being.
yeah.
And I don't. My memory could be like a little hazy because like so much stuff has happened in between, like because there were so many events during that time. But from what I can remember, I think there was like a raffle for like the full pack of like the sneakers. Was there
I
something like that
think so.
where like
I don't recall exactly.
somebody won the opportunity to buy all of them, like the KD, the Kobe, the LeBron, and the Foamposite, right? I think that's what happened.
Yeah, it was something like that. And then I remember that Nike was had
Yes,
security escorting people to their cars.
exactly. Yes, that was the other thing I remember too. Was like it got it got really tense for a second there, where like some people were worried, like they weren't going to be able to get out of the theater with their pairs, and Nike actually had to like escort them to their cars or something like that. It got really like
Yeah. Nothing happened.
no, nothing
It,
happened.
even know if they should have been worried like that, but
it didn't seem like it
it
was that kind
it
of crowd that day. It didn't even seem
yeah,
like that.
and then,
Yeah.
plus, I mean, I guess at that point, like that goes to show you how aware Nike was of what they were doing to the community and how they were like
Yeah.
getting the community ultra hyped up and overly excited. It's almost like
Yeah.
screaming fire inside of a packed building. Like
Which
Nike
thankfully no one did that
knew,
day.
yeah, Nike knew kind of knew what they were doing, and what sort of energy they had going on at that moment. So
Yeah.
yeah,
That was definitely like a time, but I still, but that just goes to show you how intense it was, and how people were
yeah,
so pumped up for those particular pairs, especially the Galaxy Foamposites. But and I just wanted to compare that to how it is now in 2025. Like, there was so much talk about like, oh, if they ever brought back, like, in the years preceding. There was so much talk
hmm
about, oh, if they ever brought back the Galaxies, it would be mass hysteria all over again. People would be like lining up for them, fighting for them, or doing whatever it took to get them.
yeah.
And yet here we are in 2025. I would say enough. It's fair to say there's enough time has passed that it's okay to bring them back. Like, it's been 13
Yeah,
years. It's totally fine. And
yeah.
sure, there's excitement for it. Sure, there's like, energy for it, but it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't seem
Oh no,
like
it's
nowhere.
nowhere near the same. The sneaker community isn't where it was back then, so you're not gonna have
Exactly.
the same energy like that. That was such a
Moment.
like yeah, it was like a culmination of so many things kind of made
Hmm.
that moment happen, and the
Right.
sneaker community isn't isn't there. Like that was like the beginning of like the shoot up of sneaker like it like had been rising, and then it just like like that was the blast off moment where
Yep.
like the stock price in a sense went straight up before it started to tank and come back down. But that was like the blast off moment. This is when like everybody was like, "Whoa!" Like this sneaker thing is getting crazy. It had which
Because
was good
mainstream.
and bad. Which it was
Right.
good and bad. Yeah.
Now, that was your sneakers becoming mainstream moment. It was one of the many moments. Like, there was the Concords dropping around, like a couple months prior. I think it was like 2011, like holiday 2011, and then that was like All Star 2012. So that's just a couple of months.
Yeah.
So that was really like the beginning of sneakers becoming mainstream. And now sneakers are mainstream, and we just don't. It's like the excitement for it just isn't the same. And part of it is because, yeah, it's a retro. Like, you can't really replicate the same excitement over it. But it's not just limited to the Galaxy foams. Like, we talked about it on the show. The LeBron 9 Big Bang came back, and I remember they just sat in stores. Funny enough, when I was vacationing in Canada like a couple years ago, I just saw them sitting at a Foot Locker. Just no one cared, and that was like
Yeah.
months after they came out. Same thing with the
Yeah.
KD4. Like, people hype up the KD4 as like, the best shoe Kevin Durant ever had, and that whenever they retro, it's gonna be like mass hysteria over them. Nah, KD4s are just available. Galaxies, Nerfs, Weathermans, they're just at your shoe palace or whatever store.
Yep.
Not a big deal. And of course, Nike hasn't brought back the Kobe 7 because, well, yeah. Uh, but it just goes to show you that, how much things have changed. And there seems to be a lot of like, I don't know, like, for people who were around back then, there seems to be a lot of like, oh, I wish we could go back to that time. And there's part of me that kind of agrees with that. Like, oh, it'd be nice if we could get back to that kind of like, oh, it'd be great if like the community come together for like those kinds of releases and have that kind of like excitement stuff. But at the same time, it's like, we don't have to do that anymore. Like, there's so many more other ways to get sneakers. There's so many other options. And
Yeah.
I understand like the old sneakerhead way of like camping out and like, building the community and like, making friends and all that stuff. But at the same time, like, dog, if I could just like wake up in the morning and get my the shoe that I want, and I don't have to worry about like, freezing cold weather, and like, I'm okay with that too. I'm kind of okay with
Yeah.
that too. I feel like I don't want to say like today is better than it was back then, but it's just different now.
Yeah, it's different now. So many people know something about sneakers now, where back then a lot of people didn't know much about sneakers. It
Mm-hmm.
was such a new thing. It's almost like we're comic book. nerds were obviously super into comics and
Yep.
Marvel and DC and the DC of it all. Like
Mm-hmm.
it was like it was like that moment like back then when we were all starting to learn like the outside world was starting to learn about the
Sure, sure,
ancillary
sure. Yeah, yeah.
the other people
Ancillary stuff. Yeah.
like ancillary like comic book characters. Like not a lot of people knew about all those other quote unquote Avengers. You know, they
Mm-hmm.
knew Incredible Hulk, they knew Spider-Man, and maybe they knew Iron Man.
Yeah.
Maybe
Exactly.
they
Right.
knew, you know, possibly knew Thor, but
Yeah.
probably not, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then
It was
everybody,
X-Men all day. All day back then. It was X-Men. But yeah, like
yeah.
Avengers were not.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so Marvel kind of went through that renaissance of Marvel was like the same time like the renaissance of sneakers happening. And now you have like the general public know about all of these Marvel characters
Mm-hmm.
that they didn't necessarily know about back then. And so now everybody knows about sneakers and I think people are kind of burnt out on it. Like even
Right.
now, like the Marvel still is creating great shows, but it doesn't have the hype behind it that thing that so like there's still great sneakers happening, but there's just not the same energy behind the sneakers. There's still great stuff happening. It's just people are like, all right, I went through that phase. I'm over it now. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know where things go from here or if that energy will ever be the same, or if it's going to take another 5 years for that dip to really dip down to get things back up again.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like kids will just there's always going to be like another generation of like kids who discover their first pair of sneakers and get hyped for it.
Hmm.
So like there will come a time where the cycle will start up again. It'll be different now. But whenever that does happen, it'll be different because you still have like the older generation who already like kind of went through it. And they're
Yeah,
probably not going to be as excited as they were like before unless, there's something that comes along. And there could be something that comes along that we don't anticipate. There could be an artist, there could be an athlete that kind of
yeah,
changes
yeah,
things and revolutionizes stuff and we're kind of back to that old getting pumped up every Saturday and all that stuff. It could happen. It could not happen. But I think we've also reached like a level where we're probably not going to be like dropping to like, when sneakers are like super niche anymore. Like, I feel like we've kind of reached a level where it's like, it's just there. It's just always going to be perpetually there. But like, people are always going to be like aware of like, oh, this sneaker's hot. But it's just there's no reason to get like overly excited for it anymore. Like say like a New Balance, like
yeah, yeah, yeah,
hey, like the New Balance, whatever number is going to be like the hot thing for the moment, but we're not going to be like lining up or like, camping out at a New Balance store to go get a new pair. It's just going to be like, oh, I got them now. We're good. We're cool. Everybody can
yeah.
get them. Not a big deal. So, yeah.
I, I think, like thinking about this, I feel like sneakers aren't gonna pop again probably until like 2030 something.
Sure.
Because like we had like the 90s, like that 90, let's say 94 through like 99 or like that 90s, like that 90s, like that was one like the hottest moment in sneakers. Even more like they talk about 85, but I feel like 90, let's just say 90 to 98, sneakers really, really popped off.
Right.
Then things chilled. There was a couple of hot moments in between, but things started picking up again in the 2010s.
Mm-hmm.
2010, 2011, 2012, like that's when things like exploded.
Right.
Now things are kind of chilling off again. So I feel like we have another what are we in 25? So we have another 5 years before we have that hot moment, like the 2030s again, when things start to pick up again, and we have that energy again, like a
Yeah.
maybe like a 20-year cycle gives a kids all the kids that were teenagers gives them time to grow up, feel independent, like they're not doing the things that they wanted to do as a teenager that people told them to do or people told them
Right.
to like. Then when they're in their 30s, then they'll be like, "Oh, actually, I do really like those things. Let's go back to those things." So
Right.
I feel like we got some time. I feel like we got some time is what I'm trying to
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Totally. Totally. But yeah, like, with the Galaxy Foams again, it's like they are dropping. Like we're recording this before the early release happens, but then there's gonna be like the wider release the following week, and
Yeah.
I'll try to get a pair just because it'd be nice to have the thing that everybody wanted back in the days. Like
Yeah.
I always appreciate that. It's like, oh, that thing that people were freaking out over. Now I can just go get it. No, cool
Yeah.
times. It's kind of like the
Yeah.
LeBron 8 South Beach. Like there was such a massive stereo over that in the 2010s too. And then when the retro came out, it was like, oh, well, I don't know if it was like a sneakers raffle or it was a draw or whatever, but I just got the pair and I was like, good times, good times.
That's
So
good. I still want a pair of those. I still don't have a pair of those.
no, the South Beach, yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
but but at the same time, I think I've worn them. Maybe I could count in one hand the number of times I've worn them. It's more of a,
Yeah.
I'm glad I got them. Like I remember just
Yeah.
like the hoopla over them and wanting to own a pair, but when I eventually did get them, I'm like, yeah, I don't know if I can pull off the camo pants look with
The
the
turquoise,
hoodie.
the
Yeah,
turquoise
with the
pink pop.
turquoise. Yeah. I'm not sure I could pull that off, but it is what it is. But yes, still looking forward to the retro for the foams next week. But if I don't get them, I can always wait another 13 years for another retro. It's
Gotcha.
okay.
Gotcha.
All right, so moving on to the next sneaker that I guess is going to get a lot of like chatter over All Star Weekend. Although it's not dropping during All Star Weekend. Initially, people thought it was going to drop during All Star Weekend. The Union Jordan 1 collaboration.
Yeah.
There's going to be that pair that drops, I believe, is on the 28th. It's the one that is a Chicago bread combination. Was that what it was?
Shadow.
Oh, no,
Chicago Shadow. Yeah.
Yes, Chicago Shadow combination. So that's going to be landing on the 28th. But then the people that the pair that got people talking was the sample that is the UNC and the Royal pair.
Yeah.
It was revealed by a friend of the program, Hugh Hefner.
The
Very
legendary.
popular, the legendary, the iconic.
Yeah.
He
The
hates it
icon.
yeah, the icon, the sneaker icon. Just when you see him out there, you're just like, oh, that's that guy right there. That's the man. He hates it when we do that, but you can't
Whatever.
deny greatness. You can't deny greatness.
Can't deny greatness.
Absolutely not. But anyways, he was. Were you okay? I'll just check. Were you at that event? Was it in LA or was it in the Bay Area? I don't know because I think I saw like on Complex it said it was in LA, but I thought it
Was
was
it?
in the Bay
It
Area.
might have been. It might have been. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get involved. That's a shoot kind of event. Like that's different.
Again,
That's different. Not normal
yes.
people don't get invited to that kind of stuff.
Yes. As much as I like to joke with Jacques about how famous he is, how great of a person he is, how like everybody thinks of the world of him and like how he's like the limousine riding, jet flying, wheeling dealing, Ric Flair kind of. No, let's
The
not talk
truth
about
is,
it.
it's all a lie.
But when it comes to Hugh Hefner, all that stuff's true.
All that stuff is 100% true.
Facts. All of those things that we talk. And basically, Jacques is who Hugh Hefner shit. Or what is it? How
Yeah.
does it go? Yeah, like Hugh Hefner is actually the what we both aspire to. Is
What
basically
aspire to be. Yeah.
Yes,
If I could
we
be
both
like that
aspire.
guy.
Yes. But anyways, let's talk about the sneaker itself. So Union's going back to the well.
Mm-hmm.
Their initial collaboration with Jordan Brand was such a massive success.
Huge.
Yes, that initial it was like combining two legendary or one popular colorway of the Jordan 1 with one lesser known colorway of the Jordan 1 and stitching
Yeah.
them together. Like that gimmick was like a huge thing that got people know Union, but that put them more of on a worldwide people
Yeah.
on a
Oh, for
worldwide
sure.
stage.
For sure.
Yes. And then they've done a lot of collaborations with Jordan since. There was like the Jordan 4, a number of different colorways, and then there was what was the other one? Oh no, there was another run of like Jordan 1s, which did not reach the same heights as the initial
Yeah.
run. But this one though, I think has a chance to be successful. I don't know if it's going to be like the same as it was in 2018 or 2019. But I think with the fact that it's the Chicago ones and the Shadows, which is a fairly popular
Fairly
colorway.
popular. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it has a chance to replicate like the success of that, the was it the storm blue and the bread and the black toe and the I forget what they was it white and gray. Do I still have my
Yeah,
pair here? I don't remember actually now that I think about it. Do you have
yeah,
yours? Do you still have your?
yeah. They're over there somewhere.
Oh, okay. I don't even
I
know if
only
I
have
have mine
I
still.
don't have the blue pair. I only have the red pair.
Wait, so do you remember when you got? Wasn't it like a Jordan event in LA that we got them or something, and we got to buy them, or was it? Or
Yeah,
did
I
you just?
think
Or did you get
so.
sent it? Yeah,
I think we yeah we got to buy them
yeah. It was like the Jordan
at
store
an
in
event at the
downtown.
George store downtown. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So
right. And
I have the Chicago whatever like the black
oh,
toe
black toe,
version,
the black toe
and
version.
then
Yeah,
the
same.
storm blue. I don't have the storm blue one. Actually, I
Yeah,
really wanted the storm blue
yeah.
one.
Sorry, I wanted storm blue too, but for some reason, like they wouldn't let us buy like the storm blue, or they didn't have as many
I
pairs
think
or
they
whatever.
didn't
I get.
have it.
Was it
Yeah.
the? Was that like the rarer version? I guess.
I'm assuming so, or just they did. I think we only had maybe we only had the choice to buy one, and at the time,
Yeah,
or maybe the when we got ours, they had released first before the other color. I don't remember.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
know. I
So
don't
this is what
remember.
happens when you've been doing this for a long time. It's like so many things
Yeah,
kind of like just blend together. But
just
anyways,
crisscross. Yeah.
what do you think about Union kind of going back to the well and reusing this gimmick again? Like, do you feel like it's a good move, or is it a move of like, oh, we need to like pop off again, and like this was a guaranteed hit, this was a hit back then, it'll probably do the same numbers now.
I feel a couple different. I feel different about it. I feel yeah, I go back and forth on it. One, I think it's cool. I think it's such a cool concept that they came up with that you want to see them be able to maximize kind of, the appeal of it. But at the same time, I'm like, this isn't the best time to release a Jordan 1 because the energy behind the Jordan 1 is so like right now. It's very
Right.
like, okay, cool. I feel like with a shoe with this concept, I would want it to drop or to become available during a time where people had a greater appreciation for the one, or
Right.
the general public, I should say, had a greater appreciation for the one, as opposed to now, where it could get lost in the sauce, and that would be terrible for such a cool, in my eyes, release.
Yeah, that would be a bummer if it ended up not being as I think it'll be successful, but yeah, you're right. Like there is a chance where it won't like garner the same like attention, kind of
Yeah.
success, whatever you want to call, whatever you want to define as success. I mean, it's gonna sell out regardless.
Yeah, I
But
mean, this month there's three Jordan ones dropping. The high 85.
yeah,
There's the reimagined black toe, and then these the Union.
okay,
And whether they drop one or two versions of it, if they drop the Carolina blue colorway and the other and the shadow colorway, are they going to drop all? So that would be four this month Jordan ones in 1 month.
that's interesting. Okay, I didn't actually think about it until you said it like that. Do you feel like this? Do you think it's in Nike's best interest to kind of like think of this as like kind of a like a send off of the Jordan 1? Like after this, like we're doing a big thing with the Jordan 1 for February. Like, it's the 40th anniversary. Like we're dropping all of these things, but after that, we're kind of we might put it back in the vault. Obviously, that's not the case. We have like an idea of like other things that are dropping later in the year. But do you think it would be in Nike's best interest to kind of push, like, kind of hide the Jordan ones for put them back in the vault, kind of like what Disney used to do back in the days when they would like
Oh, with the
sell
VHS tapes,
DVDs
yeah,
or VHS, yeah,
yeah,
VHS or DVDs or whatever. They would like release them, whatever there was like a new movie, or they would like bring back like a retro, like bring back like a classic movie, but then like
yeah,
make it available for whatever, like a year or two. But then eventually they'll also advertise, hey, it's going back in the vault. You won't be able to get them. Obviously, in the era of streaming, that doesn't matter anymore. But do you feel like if Jordan, like, if the plan was, hey, let's do this big thing for February, drop all of these Jordan ones, but then after that, kind of put them back in the vault. And hey, all those different versions of the Jordan 1s, the mids and whatever, we'll still make those. But the highs in particular, the originals, do you think it would be a good move on their part to kind of, hide them a little bit, or kind of like push them back a little bit, or just kind of not make them as widely available as they have been? Because with their new CEO coming in, like there's been talk about like, hey, we need to get back to like innovation and running and all that stuff. Like, and part of that is maybe, hey, we've been relying on these retros for so long. Like, we need to like rethink how we do these things. And maybe part of it is making them feel special again to a certain degree.
Yeah.
Like, they're never gonna like not release Jordan 1s. Like, I feel like it's such a staple now. But do you think it's in their best interest to kind of hold off on them after this month? Which, obviously is not the case, but I think that's maybe something they should consider, is like eventually, once they kind of get through their whatever they already have planned, after that, like, when it's the end of the year, when we're in year 41 of the Jordan 1, we'll kind of make you guys want to miss it a little bit.
I wouldn't mind getting a release schedule that was um a little less frequent for the Air Jordan 1.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I'm not sure I wanted to go back in the vault necessarily, but if they limited the Jordan 1 to maybe 3 releases a year,
Mm-hmm.
I think that would change the appetite for the shoe. If they're gonna if they're gonna continually release Jordan 1s, if they can't get from under the I don't know, whatever it is, the weight of the Jordan 1 on the P&L, like,
Right.
just limit it to, maybe we just do three times a year, maybe even 2 times a year.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a spring and there's a fall, or there's a summer and there's a winter Jordan 1 that releases, and that's all we do. It's the high, it's has, original colors and all the things, OG all the way retro Jordan 1, two a
Right.
year, and leave it at that. Or what you said, and just take the high off the market for, like, for real though, like, leave it off for 4 years, 3 or 4 years, where it doesn't come back until 45th anniversary kind of thing. Like, really take it out of production, do the mids, do the lows, but the high, it doesn't come back for an extended amount of time.
I mean, it'd be a heck of a move, but they are doing the whole ban marketing campaign and everything. What if they did just ban it? What if they actually just said, hey, this is not a joke. We're actually going to ban these things for a couple years. It would be a heck of a move. But I
Yeah,
feel like whenever they do decide to bring it back, people would go nuts, though. Like,
yeah,
and you talked about like Jordan, like it being available once or twice a year. What if they tried doing it kind of like what they used to do with the Jordan 11s, where Jordan 11s were just at some point once a year? There was a low during the summer. There was like one low during the summer, but then there was like the
yeah,
holiday Jordan 11. We would always talk about like what's the big holiday, like the blogs used to eat off the traffic of every little detail of reporting about the Jordan 11, right? The holiday Jordan 11.
yeah,
It's like, oh, it's rumored to be the cool gray. It's rumored to be the Columbias. It's rumored to be whatever. Man, the traffic we used to get off, that
yep.
kind of like news was nuts. And it's just like but if they tried that with the Jordan 1, and maybe tried like, maybe it could be like, that could be like the All-Star thing, right? If the Jordan 11 was like the holiday thing, the Jordan 1 could be like the February All-Star thing. I think that would be like an interesting, tactic to take. I mean,
Yeah.
we've also talked about like making the Jordan bread. Well, I've pitched it like you wrote in the script, like, hey, we should make the Jordan 1 bread just available perpetually. Screw it. Like, let that be the sacrifice. And I still believe that at the end of the day. So we're just putting out like these different ideas and all that stuff. But I am still of the belief that just put the banned ones out there forever, perpetually. Let that be the sacrificial lamb. But everything else
Hmm.
can kind of be, limited and all that stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, the black and red, I could see the black and red being like available in the mid form constantly, and again,
sure,
saving the
sure.
high for those, saving the high for special moments, like
Yeah.
every few
Hmm.
years it gets a look at, it gets a drop. I think that that'd probably be the best way to go about it.
Right, right. Well, I think the Union Jordan one will still do well, regardless. Like if they drop that UNC pair, I think that will also do well. And
Hmm.
hopefully, both of us can reach out to Hugh Hefner, and maybe he'll send
See
us
if he
one
can
of his.
connect us. See
See
if
if
he
he
can.
can connect us. Yeah, see if he can
Yeah.
make it happen for us. When we wrote the script, it was like, calling in a favor. That favor was to Hugh Hefner. That was the
Yeah.
favor. Yes, that's actually
Yeah.
who we meant by who we were going to call for a favor.
Yeah.
Well,
That's who we're trying to
anyways,
get.
yes, exactly. That's who we are trying to get to. That level. That is the level that both of us are trying to aspire to. The aspirational Hugh Hefner.
Yeah, for
Anyways,
sure.
he's so gonna hate this. If he ever watches this or listens, he's so gonna hate this. Moving on to the next topic, Jacques. We were talking about like things that are coming back or always coming back, or maybe they should hold off on it. I want to talk about a sneaker that should never come back, but Adidas, they're gonna go ahead and do it anyway. The Kobe 2. What the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
Oh
It,
my goodness, why? Why?
yeah, I
Again, like
mean,
we. Okay, go ahead.
somebody,
Go ahead.
somebody somewhere, and I don't even know if it's on the Addy side. I feel like there's a contingent of sneakerheads somewhere that have been probably like harassing Adidas about bringing this shoe back, and got Adidas thinking that, oh, maybe it is time, maybe it is hot in the streets, but I
Nah.
don't I don't see this one getting the warm reception that Adidas is looking for, unfortunately.
Yeah. For those who do not know, the Kobe 2, the Adidas The Kobe 2 is slated to return, I believe, in April. And for those who do not know, maybe look it up. Um, it is arguably the worst signature basketball shoe of this millennium. It was so bad
Uh, I
that
don't know
I,
if we can
I
call
mean,
it the words.
we could try. We could probably try to come up with like,
I,
if we really thought about it. But
I would
it's the
say
one that
the Under Armour 80, was it B88, KB88? What was it? The Under Armour, the snow boot Under Armour shoe? Oh, but that
oh
wasn't a
oh
signature shoe.
oh you mean like
That
the
wasn't a
DeAndre
signature.
Jordan, the one that DeAndre wore?
Was it,
Yeah.
did Jordan wear it? I think he did.
Yeah, DeAndre Jordan. Yeah, yeah. Well, he did. It wasn't a signature shoe per se, but it's definitely like the sneaker that was made for him, like the one that looked like boxing boots.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
those were funky. No offense to Al Harrington, his protege sneakers were not great. Starberries were not particularly hot either. But in terms of like, it was so bad that it caused like a ripple effect of Kobe going to Nike. Yeah, it was probably
Hmm.
the worst in terms of like impact. Um,
Yeah.
they look like submarines. I mean, my goodness. Like, okay, so for those who do not know, like, for whatever reason, I'm not the biggest sneaker historian or anything like that, but Adidas and Kobe Bryant, they had like a signature line, the KB8, and there was like the KB8 1, 2, and 3, and then for reasons that I don't completely understand, they kind of stopped it, and then they restarted with
Yeah.
the Kobe 1, which was based off, I believe, like an Audi car, and that was the Kobe 1, and I thought those were cool. I mean, I wasn't
Yeah.
like, it had like a lot of Foamposite vibes to it, but it was funny because Adidas like sent me like the retro, like all those years ago, and I put them on. I'm like, oh, these are not like Foamposites at all. They crease like a mud.
Mm.
I was
Ah.
like, oh, they are not. This is not the same as the foam. These are not like shell, sturdy shell as the Foamposites are. But anyways,
Yeah.
so I was okay with the Kobe one. I didn't really necessarily have a problem with it. I like the black and white pair, the ones that are called like the Stormtroopers, and like there was a neat, cool light blue one that I think like the UCLA guys used to wear back in the days. I thought those were pretty cool. But then the Kobe 2, what that was like I said, they look like submarines. They look like
Yeah, they look
they
like
look like
submarines. They look like a Cadillac. They look like
yeah, in a bad way
yeah, they look like a bunch of different things.
that are
Um,
not flattering.
yeah, I've never talking or never spoke talking. I've never
Talking.
spoken to
They are
anybody.
so bad that Jock is making up words.
I've never spoken to anybody at Adidas about the Kobe 2. That
Probably
could
because they
be
don't
a
want to talk about it.
Yeah, that could be like an interesting like retrospective on the shoe to kind of really go back and talk to the designer and really find out what they were thinking and the reception and like, the hindsight is 2020 sort of perspective
Right,
on that
right.
shoe because
But
it's a
yeah.
wild one.
Yeah. So, like I said, we it is coming back, and you did mention that maybe it's because Adidas has been talking to some people, some fans, consumers, whatever, and they're like, "Yo, you need to bring those back. It's gonna sell like hotcakes and everything." And it reminded me of when I was still working in the video game sector, and these fans, these people in the forums, they would demand like the publishers like, yo, bring this game back, like remake this or do this niche title that didn't sell in the first place. But it was like
Hmm.
good games. They were good games, but they just did not hit the sales numbers that they needed to justify like becoming like a franchise or spawning sequels and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But you would hear like, oh, we need to bring like Mirror's Edge back or this game or whatever game. And then finally, one of these companies would call their bluff and be like, fine, we'll bring them back. We'll remake it. We'll do that. And then when it actually comes out, sales are still bad.
Sales are
It's
still
like,
bad. Nobody cop.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, like, they'll listen to like the super passionate fan base, but at the same time, it's like that super passionate fan base is very limited in numbers. And maybe this is a similar situation, like you brought up. And yo,
I can't think of anybody that I
yeah,
know in the sneaker world that's like, yo, bring these back, son. I can't
not
think
in
of
a
not
joking
a
way. In a
single
joking way,
person,
probably. Not, no,
not one single person in
no.
my sneaker friend group would be like, yo, I need them. I need them Kobe 2s.
Yeah. Now I will say though, to bring up the different side of it. What if they did bring it back? They are going to bring it back, but they are calling it the Crazy Two. And we brought it up on the
Hmm.
show that there's a lot of. It was a little bit confusing that they would call it the Crazy Two when they already brought back, like Adidas already called something the Crazy Two beforehand. But wouldn't it be great though, and if they could find a way to talk to Nike, to talk to the Bryant estate, like Vanessa and everything, and find a way to kind of resolve it and bring them back with proper Kobe branding. Like I don't think the Kobe 2 would sell regardless, but I think the other Kobe retros, like you could put whatever, like you could put the Froby logo on there, you could put anything on the Kobe 2s. I don't think they would sell, but the KB81s, I love those. The KB82s, I love those too. If they
Yeah.
had like, proper Kobe branding, proper, packaging, and just the acknowledgement that, yeah, this is not crazy. This is Kobe. I think it would do a lot of good. I think it would just be like, it would just be good PR on everybody's side.
Yeah.
Like, I think Nike would benefit from it too.
Yeah. I
Just to be
think
like,
so.
yeah. So I just think that would be a good move in general is to have like the entire Kobe line be available to everybody with the proper, branding. Like I think a lot of Kobe fans would jump on that opportunity. A lot of like old sneakerheads would jump on that, and that would open it up to like also the casual fans. Be like, oh, Kobe was an Adidas guy. Oh, let's go check that out. Good lord, what is
Yeah.
that Kobe too? But everything else, oh, it's pretty cool. Good stuff. Good
Yeah. Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, that I mean that I think that's a great obviously I think that's a great idea, but I think we're too invested. We're not there's something I think we're missing. Nike, I imagine Nike doesn't want any confusion in the marketplace that
Sure.
Kobe is still an Adidas athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if there was some way to frame it, if Adidas could frame it the right way, where it was clear that Kobe is a Nike athlete, but this is his old Adidas stuff, they'd have to really make sure. Yeah, I don't. Never mind. I don't.
It could
It's not
never
gonna happen.
happen. It's not gonna
Yeah,
happen.
not
Like what?
until not until Nike's and Kobe relationship is over. I don't think we'll ever see it come back.
Yeah. Like what? I would just have to imagine what the pitch would be, right? Because it has to be Adidas going to Nike and to
Yeah,
the Bryant estate to talk about
yeah.
like, hey, what can we do? What can we get out of this? Like, is there? Okay, you know how there? It just came to me like this thought. There was like how like sometimes you hear like these different companies like they want like a particular IP and they make like trades, like, oh, we'll give you this in exchange for this IP so we can get it back. Like there's one that comes to mind. It was like I think it was like Disney. Well, Disney's coming up like frequently in this show. But they wanted the original version of Mickey Mouse. It was like I think it was like a rabbit that kind of looked like Mickey Mouse or something. And but it was owned by, I don't know if it was Universal or NBC or whatever. And they said, yeah, we'll take it. Well, you guys can have it, but we want something in return. And I think that's how like Al Michaels, the announcer, he went from like Monday Night Football to Sunday Night Football. I think it was like that was like a trade where if Disney ABC gives Al Michaels to NBC Universal, Universal will give them back the rights to that rabbit. I think it's called Oswald. Oh yes, Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. But it was like a proto version of Mickey Mouse. So, and obviously that's a big deal to Disney. You know, that's a way for them to like, you know, sell that character and like, you know, have like have the complete history of like Mickey Mouse in their, you know, in-house in their library. So like what if is there a trade? Okay. If you were Nike and Adidas came calling and they said, hey, what can we do to allow us the chance to what can we give you, Nike, that so that, you know, we can have the opportunity to sell proper Adidas Kobe retros? Like, what could you ask from Adidas? That's fair. I'm like, I don't think Nike could be like, we want Anthony Edwards. You know, I don't know if Adidas would go for that, but what is
Adidas would not go for that.
Obviously Adidas would not go for that, but what do you think would be a fair trade in terms of like maybe not athlete or maybe like a whatever, but like what do you think would be like a trade that maybe Adidas would be like, oh, you know what, I think we could make that happen. I think that might be worth it on our end in order for us to get proper Kobe retros. Like, what do you think Adidas could give up to send to Nike in exchange for that right? And of course Nike could be like, hey, like you said, like, you know, Nike would want it to be clear that Nike is Kobe is a Nike athlete, but we are telling the full story. You know, it's going to be under our umbrella. Like these Adidas retros, they're Adidas, but they're under like the Nike umbrella. Like it's in order for us to tell the complete story of Kobe's sneaker history. But yeah, what could Adidas offer?
I can't think of anything. I can't think of anything. No, because no, Dame's Adidas guy for life. Like there's
right. And I think Dame would not be like, what the hell?
Yeah, there's nothing that like, because they're gonna ask like for feet you wear. Let us have the feet you wear.
Oh, like a technology, sure, something like that, right? Like a technology, or like the rights to like a tech or something like that.
Nah, son, I can't see anything. I can't think of anything. There's nothing. There's nothing that I would be as Adidas that I would be willing to give up to have the right to sell Kobe shoes.
Yeah.
Like maybe I'll give you, maybe there's a licensing fee.
Sure.
So I give, something. You know, you 5% or something like that, but
right.
There's nothing that I could think of that would like, that can make it make sense.
Right. I was just like, it's just a fun experiment. Like James Harden, he could go back to Nike or something. Obviously that's an unrealistic thing because Harden's especially right now, to give up Harden would be like a bad move. But there's always like, or it could be like, you know, an athlete under the Adidas umbrella that doesn't maybe has promise or doesn't have like a signature deal at the moment or whatever. Like that could be something worthwhile. But it'd be funny if Nike was like, we want Boost, or oh no. What if it was like, stop doing Prime Knit? Like,
yeah, I can see that.
Something like that, right? Like, let's just end
but even
the whole
like that's past its moment. Like that moment's kind of gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Too. Yeah.
What if Adidas?
I can't think of anything.
What if Adidas was like, we'll give you all the Yeezys? Especially now.
Nike would be like, that's insulting. That's insulting. I mean, that's just the reality. Nike would be like, nah, son.
Hell no.
Ain't no way.
Ain't no way. Absolutely not. Well, yeah, that was. I thought it was a fun thought experiment. But if anybody in the comments or anybody on the socials has like an idea of like what would be a fair trade for for Adidas to have the right to sell like proper Kobe retros, let us know. Leave a comment or whatever. That I think we're kind of running. Yeah. But maybe there's something we're not thinking of that would actually make sense. Personally, I just think it'd be funny if that Yeezy idea. I think that.
Yeah, I can't think of anything that makes sense.
Nah. Well, anyways, yeah. Well, anyways, so that was episode 24 of the Too Hard
24.
24.
24 episodes in. Mamba. When we talked about Mamba. So that works.
Exactly. Yes, that works. Yes. So that was episode 24 of the Too Hard to Pass podcast. If you want to, leave a comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Give us 5 stars. If you don't give 5 stars, why would you even bother doing anything?
Sounds fair.
Yeah, that's the only way to do it, is to give us the 5 stars. Because honestly, I think we deserve it. I think we put out the good stuff. We put good work into this, and I think we deserve it. I think
everything we're giving them. Yeah. Only fair. It's only fair. Kind of like OnlyFans, but for a podcast, so it's only fair.
Why would you? Why? We were doing well. We were doing so well. You just had to go there once again. You just had to.
Only fair, OnlyFans. It's the same thing. It's the only thing.
Yikes!
Yeah.
If anybody, I think our OnlyFans would be like the I think it's the thing that kind of ends the platform. I think they would just be like, nope. Can't have this on the platform. Like, we will allow a lot of stuff on OnlyFans, but probably not this.
I think they would. It's only fair.
Oh, yikes. Anyways. But yeah, no, leave us the 5 stars. If you have any... If you have any... No. If you have any questions, if you would like to leave something for the mailbag for a future episode, you can leave the email is toohardtopasspodcast@gmail.com. Again, that is toohardtopasspodcast@gmail.com. That is the number 2. The number 2. So, yeah. All right. Thank you again for watching, listening, and all that good stuff. I am your co-host, Juan Martinez. You can find me on the internets at Easyville. And Jacques, G-Plugs.
I am Jacques Slade, a.k.a. Cousteau. On all the places on the internet except Blue Sky and Mastodon, because I have yet to set up my profile. So if there is someone named Cousteau on those, it's not me, FYI. So don't listen to any of the crypto scams that they're probably trying to sell you. With that being said, we appreciate you guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you next, or talk to you next episode.
All right, we out. Peace.